God be with you, lad. What can I do for you?
Master Fayfar, I need to speak with you. I found out something about the counterfeit coin.
Did you really? Do tell.
Close to Rovna, I came across a wagon that was transporting the false coins. Unfortunately, I came too late. The carter and his men were dead.
Damn and blast. Do you know who did it?
Yes. A certain knight turned up there. Turned out he was also after the forgers.
Well, that is indeed unexpected. Tell me, what did he say?
His name is Ulrich. He looked like a knight, but he refused to show his master's colours.
Ulrich, you say? Could be anyone. Can you describe him?
An older man with a moustache. But for all his grey hairs, he seemed pretty tough to me.
Doesn't match anyone I've heard of. But then we don't even know if Ulrich is his real name.
I asked him who his liege was, but he refused to tell me.
We live in such strange times. In days past, knights would vie with each other to see who could extol their liege's name the loudest. And today, they take assumed names, hide their emblems, and sneak around the land like thieves.
I got the impression he was hiding his identity because his master's at odds with Sir Radzig.
That may well be. As a staunch supporter of the king, Sir Radzig has many enemies.
He told me that the fake money was being taken to Passau in exchange for gold coins. Then that real money was being brought back to the Bohemian lands.
That would explain why those fakes bear the Passau countermark.
His master is allied with the Passau alderman, and they told him to sort it all out.
I wonder who could be behind it all.
He gave me these documents to show you. He seemed to think they prove he was telling the truth. They're the records of the interrogations in Passau, and some other things he said you'd understand better than him.
Let me see. We, the aldermen of the city of Passau, interrogation held this day, put to pen by the questor. The place of origin is a monastery in the land of Bohemia. Which certainly confirms my suspicion that something underhand is going on in Sasso. Coin assay report. Copper core coated with amalgam. But this is interesting. Here's an outline description of how the forgeries are made. I'll have to study it more closely. We command Herr Ulrich to investigate and let no man stand in his way. This looks like the original safe conduct. It has the seal of the Passau alderman, but they certainly didn't pen this.
How do you know?
I recognize the hand. It's a Clement of Kaplitz, the high scribe of the Rosenbergs.
The Rosenbergs? Who's that?
A rich and powerful family in South Bohemia. Burgrave Henry III is a great rival of our King Wenceslas.
So what does all this mean?
Well, it certainly explains why your knight is so mysterious. Anyway, we should be careful. And we shall begin our investigation. The documents show they use silver amalgam for coating copper fakes. That's a lead we can follow.
What?
Silver amalgam. It's produced from quicksilver and silver.
Well, that doesn't sound like something just anyone can get hold of.
You're quite right. You will go to Sasso at once. Look around the forges in the city. Someone must be working copper for them. I, meanwhile, will take counsel with Sir Radzig and then follow after you.
Where shall we meet?
At the inn on Sasso Market Square. Good luck then.
Master Fayfar, Sir Radzig sent me to you.
Did he? He must think highly of you.
I do the best I can.
That's good, because this is damned important. Silver's our most valuable asset.
How can I help with these, evil forebodings of yours?
Sir Radzig may make light of it, but a large quantity of silver has been discovered hereabouts, and no one is guarding the Skullets mines, the most likely source.
You really think someone could be stealing the silver from the mines? I would have thought that would be quite a job, wouldn't it?
It certainly would. Which is why I'd like you to go and check out not only the mine gallery, but also the yard with the smelter and the waterworks. See what kind of state it's all in, and if anything looks suspicious.
Is that the yard next to the Skalitz mill?
That's the one. I don't know what state it's in now. There used to be a stock of charcoal and smelted silver there.
A silver store? Could there really be any left?
I doubt it. I'd be surprised if it was still standing at all.
What about these waterworks? What's there?
A stamping mill and washing troughs. They're on the bend in the river below the castle. You can't miss them. There are big tanks and equipment all around.
You said mine gallery. Just one.
Boy, there's such a maze there that it would take a week to crawl through the place. There's only one gallery I'm interested in, at the foot of the hill by a small fish pond.
Why just that one?
Because I was expecting to find a scene there. All the indications pointed to it. So if anyone is stealing silver, it'll be right there.
Should I be expecting trouble then?
Well, I definitely wouldn't treat the job like a visit to church on Sunday. You could find yourself facing that pack of hungry dogs trailing the army, or a band of brigands.
I see. Well, you and Sir Radzig can rely on me. Well, I'd say there's real grounds for your forebodings. I heard from one Skalitz miner that someone may have found something there and didn't report it.
I knew it. That bastard Namoy and his cronies. Christ above. I want a lot of them clapped in irons.
A lot of them? How many are there? A dozen? 2 dozen? How am I to arrest them all?
Yes. You're quite right. It'll be enough to take Nemoy. He's a serpent leading the others on the path of evil.
So I should look in the mine, and if anyone's there and I find Nemoy, I should bring him to you in irons.
Exactly. But proceed with caution. The punishment for stealing the king's silver is burning at the stake. Those people will be capable of anything if cornered, even murder.
That's all clear. I'll get going.
Goodbye.
Good to see you, lad. Sir Hanush told... Take care.
Yeah. Yeah. Duh! Yeah. Ah! Yeah. Yeah. I can't leave the domain without Sir Radzig's permission. Yeah. Look what I've got.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
God be with you.
How are you holding up?
Well, I tried the water carrying, but I have to tell you, it's not the best job I've ever had.
What's the problem? Is it that hard?
The main thing is it's a long way to haul a heavy load. And you can't even take a rest now and again. You can be seen the whole way. See you later.
So, about that reward you promised me.
You kept your word, and so will I. Here you are. God be with you.
Yeah.
God be with you.
I've got that game meat for you.
Great. Let's have a look at it. Thanks, Henry. We'll get lots of supplies for this. I've got another job for you. The innkeeper had a bit of a row with his wife and wants to make up. She's very fond of venison sausages, so he asked me what I could do.
Venison I can get, but he can make his own sausages.
Naturally, just get the meat.
Goodbye.
Fred Beach, just this morning. Fred!
God,
Vegetables!
What do you need?
Ah, yes.
Good health. Goodbye.
God be with
See you later.
So, how are you doing?
Maybe it's just as well. We'll return to Skalitz any day now, and folk would have no respect for me if they knew I'd been hauling shit.
God be with you.
What do you need?
Do you know if there's any...
Aye. Go see Herman the Executioner. Long as you got the stomach for dealing with a fellow that's...
Do you know if there's...
Take care.
Fred! Fred! Rolls and pretzels.
God be with God be with you.
Garlic, onions, mushrooms, and asparagus. Come right up. No need to be shy.
God save.
I found your treasure.
Really?
Really? And it wasn't easy? That's it?
By all the saints, thank you. You don't even know how much you've helped us. And if you know my wife, then you'll know you've just saved my life.
I probably shouldn't even tell you this, but Kunesh was after your treasure too. He wanted us to keep it ourselves.
What? That's... I'll give him... I mean to say, I'll tell everyone about him. I don't know what to say. Here, take this at least. I'm poor, but you saved us. See you later.
Damn.
Yeah.
What's going on? The folk in town are talking about you.
They shot on me. That's what.
What? Who did?
All of them.
Wait. Tell me again from the start.
All right, if you want. They caught Peter of Dauba, George Weiss, and a fellow named Harold that everyone calls Frost. They're scum who've been hunted for months. Now they've finally been caught, there's a big execution being prepared. Folk will come from miles around to watch.
Well, that's a good thing for you, isn't it?
It would be, if I was fucking doing it.
Isn't it the custom for you to do all the executions in Ratai?
It is. Not just the custom, but by bloody right. You're not being replaced, they said. This is just a loan of Gallows Hill.
Well, there must be some reason for it.
If you know of one, spit it out.
So who's doing the job?
They invited Executioner Heinz all the way from Kuttenberg. They say it's going to be a big show. Have I ever fucked up an execution? I always behead them in one blow. And when his lordship wants to drag out a hanging, I leave them kicking for minutes. If he wants it quick, they're stiff as soon as I drop them. And they push me aside like that, after all these years of service.
What can we do about it?
Nothing. His lordship's decided, and that's that.
If you don't make a stand, it'll be worse next time.
It's an awful humiliation, as it is.
Then you're in the right. Don't tell me you can't think what to do about it.
The trouble is, they already paid the executioner and he's come here along with his assistants.
We can't stop the executions, unless Heinz drops dead on the spot.
Which we don't want.
Indeed not. The best thing would be if he fucked up the executions. The famous Kuttenberg executioner can't handle the job. The mob would laugh him out of town and beg me to take over. They'd never invite him here again.
Great, so how do we go about it?
The problem is, I don't know what the sentences will be. They'll only announce them just before the executions, and then it'll be too late to do anything.
Would the bailiff know more?
Maybe, but most likely only Heinz will know the sentence. I've got an idea, though. Will you help me?
Of course.
Great. Thank you, Henry.
So where should I start?
Find out from the bailiff what their crimes are, and then have a look in the Black Chronicle at the Rat House.
It goes back before my time. You're bound to find records of some similar offenders in it. You need to find people who committed the same crimes, and came from the same sort of background, noble or lowborn. That way you can find out what the appropriate punishments are.
Then come back to me, and we'll work out what to do.
I'll get moving.
And Henry?
Hmm?
They want to do the executions on my gibbet at Gallows Hill. I can hold them up for a while, but probably no more than a week.
I'll bear that in mind.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see you.
How are you holding up?
It's not as easy as I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's a different kettle of fish than turning a winch, isn't it?
You got that right. But I can handle plenty. Don't worry about that.
Sure. Just don't work yourself into the ground. Who'd spin that winch then?
True.
And didn't you promise me something if I got you the job?
Welcome, Henry.
But what was it again?
You said you'd teach me how to land a knockout punch.
I did. And no one knows that better than me. So, here's how. Don't draw your arm all the way back, like a stork's neck. Better do it like this. It wastes no power, and the other fellow will think a horse kicked him.
God be with you.
Yeah. To me.
Baked goods fresh from the oven. Come and get them.
All that grows in the ground, fresh. Come right up.
God save.
I hear there's going to be a big execution here.
There certainly is. It'll be a glorious event for our town. They'll be talking about it for years.
Who's for the chop?
The biggest outlaws and reprobates for miles around. Peter of Dauba, George Weiss, and Frost Herald.
What did they do?
What didn't they do, more like? They caused trouble all over the country.
Who's this Peter of Dauba?
A noble who lost his fortune. He's been holding up merchants for months.
That's all?
At first. But then his gang started getting bloodthirsty. They wiped out a whole squad that was hunting them. He won't walk away from this.
What can you tell me about Herald?
They call him Frost because he's always cool as ice, until he starts. I've seen plenty of killers and thugs in my day, but that one's got the devil in him.
Why?
They say the only thing that'll put a smile on his face is the sound of screaming and weeping. That beast kills for pleasure. When they caught him, he had a candle made from the arm of an infant. For luck, he said.
Christ. What about Weiss?
No one actually knows where he came from, but they say the murdering started with him. He never leaves witnesses. He'd rather wipe out a whole village than take a chance.
Thanks, Bailiff. That's all I need to know.
Good luck, then.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need your advice.
Did you find out what they did? And did you read the Black Chronicle?
Yes.
So tell me what you found out, and I'll see what I can come up with. Just bear in mind, I can help you work it out, but you'll only find exactly what you need in the Ratai Black Chronicle. Every executioner has his own way of doing things, and this bastard might have different methods in mind.
Peter of Dorba has many murders on his soul, but he's still a nobleman. His neck is going on the block.
That makes sense. His crimes are great, but he's still a nobleman, so he gets an honorable death.
George Weiss is a bloodthirsty bastard who left a trail of corpses behind him. He'll be tortured first.
He's got plenty of dead men on his conscience, but I reckon it'll be one of the others who gets tortured.
George Weiss is a He hasn't earned an honorable death. He's for a long drop on a short rope.
A murderer deserves nothing better. That makes sense.
Frost Herald is the worst of them all, sent by Satan himself. The things he's done would make a demon blanch. The executioner will take his time with that one. He'll be begging to die. If I read correctly, it'll start with ripping the flesh.
Aye, could be. He deserves nothing better.
So, have we got everything we need?
We've covered all the possibilities. There's nothing more we can think up.
So, what's the plan then?
An executioner's greatest boast is to behead with one blow. That's why an executioner's sword needs to be a splendid piece of craftsmanship and sharp as a razor.
I follow you, but how can I get to the sword?
It won't be easy. The executioner's sword is one of his most valuable instruments.
Couldn't it just be switched for a different one?
He'd notice straight away. It's different than a regular sword, heavier with a blunt point. The balance is different too.
I could take yours and...
He'd recognize that too. An executioner knows his sword like the back of his hand. He'd notice as soon as he picked it up.
So I'll have to steal it, dull the blade, and put it back before anyone notices?
Yes, that's probably the only way.
That'll be interesting. And how can I dull the sword? Should I hack at a stone wall?
I thought you were a blacksmith, son. It's enough to cock up the honing. That will make much less noise.
That'll do me.
With ripping of the flesh, the bastard has to suffer, but survive as long as possible.
So, if Herald drops dead right at the start...
The executioner will look like a fool.
But how can I make sure it happens?
I don't know. It depends on the skill of the executioner. An experienced one starts in places where there's no threat of heavy bleeding. The sides, the chest.
And the Kuttenberg executioner is definitely experienced.
No doubt. They use a kind of special tongs, and in between the ripping, the convict's wounds are treated so he can take more.
What if I get the one who's supposed to dress the wounds drunk?
Don't do that. It could be someone from Ratai, and even if it isn't, the blame wouldn't fall on the executioner.
Maybe the tongs could be spiked with something nasty.
And You'd know what to use?
I know a little, and I might be able to get something.
That would work. Good idea, Hal.
That'll do me. What about the hanging?
If the rope breaks when it's done, it's an unbelievable disgrace for the executioner. Folk see it as the will of God, and sometimes he even has to let the condemned man go.
What about switching it?
That could work. I've got an old rope here I don't use anymore. It looks fine, but it's run. It'll be perfect.
Great, I'll use that. I could shoot the rope through from a distance with an arrow.
Don't be daft. No, you couldn't.
But I'm...
Where did you get such a stupid idea? From some wench? Even if you somehow hit it, that rope's much too strong.
Well...
And even if you did manage to shoot it through, do you really think nobody would notice?
Maybe it's not the best plan I've ever come up with.
I certainly hope not.
Supposing I just cut it?
I doubt it would work. The executioner will check it before the hanging when he's preparing the gallows. He'd probably notice.
That'll do me. Thanks.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Hey, Henry's come to see us. God be with you.
How are you doing?
At first, I was really angry with you for getting me a job carrying shit. But it's easier work, and the pay is better, so everything's worked out.
I'm glad you see it that way.
God be with you.
Yeah.
Who's there? Hey, what are you doing here? Clear off quick or I'll... What are you doing here? Are you after something?
What do you want here? Go and play your game somewhere else.
Listen, I thought you'd want to know. Herman,
What's going
the
on there?
Raphael-
Nobody?
But he can...
He can do whatever he likes. It makes no difference to me. And don't come bothering me again with your
Suit yourself.
Who's there?
That should do it. It'll never hold the weight of a grown man. he tries to torture anyone with this, the lucky fellow will die quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll find you, you cur. You can't hide from me.
chop the head off a chicken with this. Yeah. Yeah. About the executions.
Is it done? Can I let them get on with the executions now?
Yes.
Now all we have to do is go and enjoy the show.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you help me with...
Sir.
I'd like to...
First you have to...
Well... Yeah. Yeah.